Hey, everybody. Welcome to Monday Night Huddle. Tristan Goodlow here. We are so excited to have all of you guys join us. Don't mind the 4-year-old in the background. Okay. He got a point. Do you hear him? He got a point. All right. We are so excited to be having you guys join us tonight for Huddle. It is Monday the 13th of March. Half of March is already over. We can't even talk about that tonight. But we do have something amazing to share with you guys. Nici Hinkel is our guest speaker on tonight, and we are in for a true treat. Nici is, so her husband is who Amber is signed directly under, and she is our Diamond Ambassador. Nici and her husband are a double Diamond family, and they are filled with knowledge. So we are so excited for you to take some time to speak with us tonight, Nici. Totally honored. Love having you as our Diamond upline and cannot wait to hear the wonderful wisdom you have for us.
Thank you, Tristan. And I'm going to start talking to you about goals and setting those things, and you're going to think I'm green, but I promise I'm really not. But yeah, so tonight I want to just talk to you all about goals. And this is, it really is one of my favorite topics to talk about. But before we get in, and I love to help you guys. I guess there's yellow there. It's like one of my favorite things is I love to help and see you like set goals and achieve those goals. And I know Amber has talked to y'all many times about setting your why. And if you haven't, if you don't know what that is, you know, get with your upline and figure out what your why is. Make sure you know it, because before you start goal setting, you have to know what your why is. And once you have your why, this is our ultimate, more of our ultimate dream, the ultimate reason we're doing this, where we want to see ourselves in the end. And your goals are going to be the stepping stools that take you to that place to get there, to that why. So whenever you're setting your goals, think of those as your stepping stools, stepping stones to get to your why. So before I start really going into how to set those goals, though, I want to talk to y'all first about failure, because you cannot have goals without failure. So setting goals and missing them, it is absolutely crucial in life in order to grow. So I want to ask you, are you comfortable where you're at, or are you pushing yourself outside of that comfort zone? When your comfort is more important than your calling, you'll never achieve fulfillment in life. So are you setting comfortable goals, or are you setting goals that you feel called to? So really think about that as you're setting your goals. If you're finding that every time you set a goal for you or your team, you're hitting them every single month after month after month, then you're probably setting comfortable goals, and the bar is probably too low. Without failure, we don't look for answers or try new things. It's what makes you innovative. When you miss something, or you fall down, or you try something and you're not hitting that, it makes you reevaluate the way you're doing it and step back and look and say, you know, was this working? Was this not working? What do I need to do more of? What do I need to do less of? It is so important in growing yourself, is missing these goals. And I want you to think about missing goals more as a training tool and a chance to learn, instead of a disappointment or a failure. Because if you never miss it, it's going to keep you from being innovative and looking outside that box. All the good stuff happens when you're in the trenches learning and falling and getting down and getting back up. So there is no shame in failure. So that is the most important thing for you to remember as you're setting goals and as you're going through this journey. Like, it doesn't make you less than if you don't hit the goals. It's actually a good thing sometimes. So I was researching great people who failed in life to try to kind of prove my point in this. And you cannot find a truly successful person out there who doesn't have major failure in their past. Like Henry Ford, he's had 5 companies fail before he set up Ford Motors. R.H. Macy had 7 different stores before he had Macy's. Walt Disney, and this one cracks me up, was told by a newspaper that he wasn't creative enough to be hired. I mean, Walt Disney. So don't let, you know, not hitting something or somebody, you know, telling you you can't do this, don't ever let that be a roadblock for you, because all of these great people hit those roadblocks. You know, they faced those obstacles and they didn't let it stop them, because they had a big dream and a huge why, and that was just what fueled them and motivated them and kept them going. So failure, it doesn't define you. It doesn't make you any less of an ambassador or a leader if you set a goal. If you're afraid to say, you know, I want to hit gold this month because you think your team will hear you and you might not achieve that, like, you need to really refocus on why you're afraid for them to see you not hit something when you put it out there. It's actually a good thing. We all need to see each other strive for things and not always hit them. So remember that it doesn't define you. So now that we have kind of talked about that, I always want to make sure that's the first thing I talk about when I start talking to y'all about goals, because I want you to recognize that through this journey, you're gonna come across times that you don't hit the goals if you're doing it correctly. And I don't ever want that to be a time where you think, oh, well, maybe this isn't for me, or maybe I'm in the wrong industry. So remember, this is very normal, very part of the process, and a good part of the process. So I want to talk to y'all about two types of goals. I have two different acronyms for y'all today, and that is BHAG and WIGs. And so BHAGs is the first one. That is the big, hairy, audacious goal. There's only one really important thing I want you to ask yourself before you set every goal. It's kind of your litmus test. And that's going to be, does this goal get me closer to my why? And if it doesn't, is it worth my time and energy? So think about that. So sometimes there might be a contest. It might even be a corporate contest, you know, that seems exciting and you want that prize, but it might kind of be taking you off course from your ultimate goal. It might be good and really good stuff, and maybe the prize to you is really worth your time and energy, but it might not be. You might be laser focused on your ultimate why, and this might just be a little distraction. So make sure as you're setting those goals, they actually are stepping stones to your why, and they're not kind of taking you off path. Because if you go off path, it's going to take you a whole lot longer to get there if you go straight to it. So ask yourself every time you set those goals. That's your litmus test before you set your goal. Big, hairy, audacious goal. This is a goal that if you say it out loud, people are going to doubt you can achieve it. It's the one that they're going to kind of think you're crazy, and it's going to sound crazy, but it's not going to be so crazy that you can't achieve it either. So the BHAGs takes being okay with failure, which is why I kind of wanted to talk to y'all about that first, because in order to set something big and crazy, your odds are good you might not hit it, but you want to be brave enough to show up and try anyway. So you have to realize you might crash and burn, but it's worth it just to show up. It's worth it. So the ultimate BHAG of everyone on this Zoom should be to go diamond. That's ultimately what we're shooting for. But some of you, it might be to go diamond this year, and that might sound crazy, but I mean, it's not impossible. So, I mean, we're still early in the year and anything can happen. Another example of a BHAG, though, might be to go gold. You might have been sitting at silver for month after month and be sitting at that 50 points and only have 2 more people who haven't ordered yet. So you're probably into around 60, and you might think, you know what, I can come up with 8 more people by the end of the month that order to go gold this month. And that might be a huge BHAG because you've been sitting in the same place for month after month. And that's kind of a time to, like, you know what, I'm going to step out of where I've been stuck at, and I'm going to push for something bigger, and I'm going to go after it. A BHAG is a goal that it's not going to happen organically. This isn't something that's just going to happen as you doing your everyday activities, and then you're, enjoying your evening, and then, oh, wow, I hit gold. That was not a BHAG if it just happened to happen. So this is something that you have to be very intentionally pushing for. And it takes a lot of hard work and a lot of time commitment, and you're going to have to make sacrifices to see it happen. BHAGs are important goals to set, but I want you to know every goal you set is not going to be a BHAG, because that gets exhausting after a while. These are things that you kind of save up for, and then you work really hard for like a month. Like the month I went diamond, my husband and I both went diamond that same month. And the month before, I told my husband, I want to go diamond next month, but I want to make this even crazier, and I want us to both push for. And that was a major BHAG. That month, I deleted every app from my phone that I might be tempted to be distracted by. I unplugged the televisions, like all of my everyday distractions that I normally have to keep some balance and relaxation in my life, I eliminated. And we sat down and told the kids, you're not going to see mommy very much this month. And I sacrificed and I worked hard, and we actually hit that BHAG, which was crazy. But it took a lot of work. Again, I couldn't work like that every single month because you would get way out of balance and burned out and exhausted. So remember, with the BHAG, I want you setting them, but I don't want you setting them every single month. So the second type of goal we're going to talk about is the WIG. This is your wildly important goal. Every goal you set should be a WIG. Every goal should be wildly important goal. So this is the goal. The idea of this is to really drive down and think about what is the most important things. You may think you have 18 different things you need to do, but you need to narrow it down and figure out what are the most wildly important goals. So Chris McChesney, he is the author of the 4 Disciplines of Execution, and he's the one that coined this term WIG. And when he talks about it in his book, he starts by saying, and this was crazy for me, because he started by saying, on average, the person who sets 2 to 3 goals tends to achieve 2 to 3 goals. If a person sets 4 to 10 goals, they tend to achieve 1 to 2. And if you set 11 to 20, that person tended to achieve on average is 0. So this is why it is, and this was mind-blowing to me, because I'm one of those people that's like juggling 8 things at one time. Like I'm real easily distracted, and I get a great idea and I add it to my list. And if I have a month where I'm full of great ideas, I think I could do, and you may have seen this in me as a leader, I might sometimes have 8 different contests running and forget to ship people their prizes because I'm doing something else. And that is because I'm focusing on too many things, and we tend to drop the ball on everything when we do that. So it is so important for us to remember to only focus on 2 to 3 goals at a time. Like never have more than that set, or you're not going to hit them all. You know, you're going to end up dropping all the balls. So this is why we want to think about like which goal is the most important for where I'm at right now to help me get to the next stepping stone. So it's all a stepping stone to the end why. And so for example, you might be setting at gold, and you might think that, you know, senior gold is going to be what my goal for this month is, to hit senior gold. But when you really narrow it down, you may have even lost rank at gold. You might be sitting at 70 points. So you're not going to hit senior gold this month without, you know, pulling some major rabbits out of hats here. So setting that as one of your goals is it might just be preventing you from actually ever achieving it right now, because it's preventing you from putting down a goal that is important to getting you to that next goal. So hitting senior gold is a goal that you're going to have later, but you're not ready for that right now. So we're going to take that one off the plate and put in maybe adding 20 people to my team this month, because we're going to be building that team so that I can get to that goal. And this is where it can be tricky, and it takes some strategy when you're goal setting, but you really need to be very, very intentional in the goals that you're setting, and then helping them get you to the next goal that will get you to the next goal that will get you to the next goal. And don't just say, you know, I want to be the next rank, because that's a dream, you know, when you just say it out loud. I want to be diamond, I want to be emerald. Like it can sound like you're just saying a dream out there, but you're not actually saying what you want to do to get to that. So make sure that your goals are very intentional, and they're not just a thought that you're putting out there that you wish you could have. Because if you are following this, sorry, that's my husband's phone, I think, ringing. Following this path on these goals, you can hit each one of these achievements. So one of the things, one of the things that you want to be setting as your goals is your team growth, because your team growth is going to help you get to that rank. And over time, I've kind of noticed like some numbers help you see more momentum with than others. And kind of a rule of thumb I've come up with is if you're a silver ambassador, a good goal for you is 10 to 20 people added to your team per month. Now that can seem like a big number, and this might even be a BHAG for you, but that's a good number to add to your team for you to start seeing momentum. For gold, that would be 20 to 40 people. For senior gold, that would be 40 to 50. For ruby, that's 50 to 75, and senior ruby, 75 to 150. And these might seem like big numbers, but these are the numbers. If you can hit in this ballpark, you're going to see momentum on your team, and it's going to set you up to hit that next rank and the next rank and the next rank. So, and if you want me to tap out those numbers, I will. But this is just one of the many goals that you might be setting to help you achieve the next goal. Another goal that you might be looking at is helping how many people on your team would hit a rank. I love to set goals like this, where it's like, this month I want to see 3 level 1s go silver, because ultimately helping our team is going to be the best way to help you, because I could never, ever, ever get to where I'm at on my own. Like, I am here because of you. And once you're able to realize that your success is very much dependent upon your team's success, it's more fun, and it's more fulfilling, and it's going to help you get there faster. I was stuck at the rank of Sapphire for a year, and I had a lot of backward momentum with my points dropping, and just a lot of, I was lacking a lot of leadership. And when I finally turned that boat around, it was when I finally took the focus up, I want to go diamond, and put the focus on, I want to help, Tammy go gold, and I want to help Amber go ruby, and I want to help, when I started looking at where I wanted my people to be, and we started like locking arms and running together, like that's when it happened. So a very important goal, I think, for you would be always to be setting goals of how many people I want to help hit their ranks or help hit their goals. Another thing to look at is how many people you might be saying, I want to talk to 10 people a week this month about Plexus, or I want to sponsor 3 new ambassadors this month, or I want to, it's going to be individual for everybody on what your goals are going to be. But make sure your goals are income producing and they're helping you get to the next stepping stone. I like to keep my goals. You want to set a timeline on your goals too, so that they're not like just, they're not, just to keep them structured so that we know when the end date is. So I like to keep them month to month, just because it fits with the culture and with our Plexus timeline. There's usually contests each month. There's our points start and end each month. So I think that's a good place to start, but you might even break it down smaller. It might be, you might break it down week to week if you're more of a person that likes that. This is going to be definitely a personality style. If you like structure, you might want to do each week, have a set of 3 goals I want to do this week. I want to add 10 people to my team. I want to reach out to 3 people, and I want to sign a new customer. So that's going to be dependent upon you, but make sure you do have a timeline. Don't have some indefinite goal that doesn't have an ending. So each goal, it should be able to check it off your list on the 31st of the month and say, done, done, done. So with ranks and incentives on a monthly basis, yeah, it just makes sense to do it that way. So remember, kind of some of the major things that I wanted to touch on with y'all tonight is that there's no shame in failure. It's what defines you. It's what grows you. Be daring and set the BHAGs every now and then. Don't be afraid to do that, because it really is fun when you can push for that, and set specific goals that will help you get to the next goal, and never set more than 3 wildly important goals at a time that will help you get to your ultimate why. So remember that as you're setting goals, only 3 at a time. So those were the main things I had to cover with y'all tonight, but do y'all have any questions for me over goals?
Oh my gosh, does anybody else have a whole page of notes? Like, holy smokes. Look at all the heads shaking. Okay, I have a question.
Okay.
So your goals, though, these are your goals for your business. Because I have like health goals, and I have business goals, and I have like, everyday goals. So is it crazy to have all of these goals, or should it be 2 to 3 goals total? Because that to me sounds crazy.
I mean, I would narrow it down to 2 to 3 goals total. Because Tristan, I'm like you. I used to, for my my New Year's resolutions, I would have a spreadsheet with different tabs at the bottom, like family, health. And guess what? I never stuck with it. Like,
are you sure you're not green? Like, are you sure?
I promise. And so, but when you do that, you're not going to be focused on your goals, because they become wishes, and there's so many of them, and you're so bogged down that you're not actually achieving your goals. So I would really challenge you to just set 2 to 3 at a time, but make them achievable goals that aren't like long-term, like short-term goals that you can check off. Like, don't say, I want to lose 100 pounds. That's not an achievable goal that I'm going to do anytime soon, but maybe say, I want to, you know what I mean? So just make sure but I wouldn't be setting too many goals, and even if they're in different areas, because I think that's when we do tend to not achieve them at all.
Okay, so if you had like 2 to 3 goals per week, I have to break this down from my head. And my weekly goals were add a new customer, help one person go silver, and lose 2 pounds. Then that would be those goals that week, but necessarily wouldn't be 3 goals a month. Just add a ton
Right.
of 3 goals.
Right. Exactly. Yes.
Okay. That makes sense. It's a little overwhelming. That's more overwhelming than anything else to me. That's interesting.
So it's overwhelming for you to set less goals?
Yeah. Isn't that weird?
And I think it's kind of good though, because this is when you have to decide what's the most wildly important to you. And I think that's kind of the whole purpose that, he talked about in his book, and why he coined that term, wildly important goals. Like, maybe write them all out and really kind of evaluate what's the most important to me right now. Like, what do I really need to focus on?
Very interesting. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes.
Anybody else? I haven't even looked at the chat. Let's see. Oh yeah, Kaylee Renfro says, what goals do I put aside?
I mean, it's a personal. I mean, that's not something that I can necessarily tell you, because, so it's hard to narrow down. So that's interesting that this is harder for y'all to. So what color are y'all? What color is this group? Are y'all predominantly one color, or?
Kaylee's a yellow. I don't even know if Kaylee's ever taken the test, but Kaylee's in nursing school. She's for sure a yellow. The other person that just commented, that's Molly Jo, and Molly Jo is 100% yellow. Yeah. Elena's yellow. Show of hands, who thinks this is overwhelming having to cut your goals down? 1, 2. Are you all pretty much yellow? Christy's part yellow. Carrie's yellow. Tammy's not yellow at all. Tammy, you're overwhelmed by this too? She says, yeah.
Okay. Well, my purpose isn't to overwhelm y'all.
Well, for sure not.
But I do want you to think about, what did someone say?
It's a freeing feeling.
Right. I mean, it can be scary too. It can be scary sometimes, because I want you to remember, when you're letting go of a goal, it doesn't mean that you never want to hit it. It just means right now it's not my focus.
Yeah.
And the goal that I made my focus, kind of like when I was talking about, like, to hit senior gold, and you might not be ready to hit senior gold. So I'm not making that one of my 3 goals. I'm not saying I never want to hit senior gold. I'm saying right now my focus is to do a goal that will get me to that ultimate goal, to the next goal. So maybe kind of thinking about, when you have, writing all of your goals out might kind of help you to see that some of these goals are actually going to help me get to this next goal. They're not really separate goals, and I can take this one off the table right now because this one has to be done first before I get to that one. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. Well, I think the other thing to remember too is the reason we have guest speakers and the reason we ask you to come on is because you have knowledge we don't have. And part of growing is in ourselves. Sorry, I take my glasses off so there's not a glare. Part of growing in ourselves and growing into better leaders is being uncomfortable. For me, this is very much an uncomfortable thing. So I'm going to use that focus to direct the path of my life and go towards it, because obviously that's where I need to go. That's the feeling of uncomfortable.
Well, I'll tell you, when I heard him speak at the Global Leadership Summit, which I don't know if any of y'all have ever went to that. It's amazing if you haven't. Usually different churches will have it podcasted. And that's where I heard him speak. And when he said that, like, it was such a, I mean, it was like a convicting moment for me. So I was like, oh yeah, I have a whole lot of goals. So I mean, I get this initial feeling because I felt the same way when I first heard it, because I was the girl that, you know, set the 18 different New Year's resolutions, but I never followed through with any of them. I didn't even make it to February, you know? So it's like, and I tend to do life that way. I have all these lofty ideas and I want to do all these things, and I don't do any of them because I'm trying to do too many. And we can't, we're really not created to do as many things as sometimes we want to do, you know? So we get all of these things going on in our heads, and it's just, we get naturally overwhelmed. It's kind of like multitasking, how we all think that we're great multitaskers, but really nobody can multitask at all. So it's just, yeah.
I think it makes great sense. Yeah, Christy said it's easier when we focus on what Nikki is saying about our goals need to get us closer to our why. So if you focus on the 2 or 3 goals that are getting to your why, if you know your why, if you don't know your why, and your why isn't something that's overpowering and brings you to tears, then you haven't found your why yet. So the key to that is knowing your why. If you know your why and your goals achieve that, then that's it's easier to understand. And Tammy said, so we're just breaking our goals down into smaller steps to focus on what we need to do this week. And yeah, or whatever it is for you to understand. I think for me, I'm gonna have to start with, because I always have health goals, I always have team goals, I always have personal goals. I have goals for Josiah, you know, like don't break his leg this week. Lots of goals, okay? Feed the child, you know, make him cry, all these normal mom things.
And remember, too, with team goals, you know, because I'm bad about setting goals for my team. And then I realized that I'm not letting you set your own goals sometimes. I'll go in and I'm like, this is my goal for you, and this is what you have to do to achieve it. And then I'm like, oh, wait, this is your business, not mine. So maybe team goals aren't something even that need to be set, because you're setting your personal goals and helping your team set their personal goals, and then those things will just magically happen if everyone is.
Yeah, Nikki, I like that a lot, because you know, the speed of the leader is the speed of the team. So if you're accomplishing your goals, then your team goals will follow. Let's see, Carrie. Oh, Christy talks about her 2 words for the year: focus and simplify. So this speaks to me very strongly right now. Yeah, and I think knowing what your words are and making sure those connect to your why and making sure your goals meet those is huge. Then Carrie says it might help to think of it as not getting rid of excess goals, but rather just focusing on the immediate goals and setting aside the long-term goals until we take care of the immediate priorities. Prioritize goals.
Yes, you said that very well. I love that.
Good job, Carrie. Bonus points for you.
What other questions do y'all have for me?
Molly, I think that's fine. She said, if you have a goal for a month, can others be changed every week? Yeah. Anybody else have anything? Good discussion, girls. Nikki, you got us thinking. These girls have not been that talkative in a long time.
Good.
Hey, Nikki, I have a question.
Yeah.
So basically our WIG goal is kind of our monthly goal, and the BHAG is kind of the big, audacious, what we're ultimately aiming for.
No. So what you're ultimately aiming for is your why. Your WIG, every goal you set should be a WIG. So every goal you set should be a wildly important goal. But sometimes your WIG might be a BHAG. So 1 month you might go in and be like, okay, this month is the month I'm going to hit this rank. And so this month is the month I'm going to, you know, make some sacrifices, and I'm going to work extra hard because I'm going to set a BHAG this month. And so, like I said, a BHAG is not something that's going to be done every month because it's going to take ultimate sacrifice. So the ultimate goal is the why, you know, but your BHAG is kind of like your big goal you're going to set right now. Does that make sense? Does that kind of explain a little bit better? I think I did say everyone's BHAG should be to go diamond, and that might have kind of confused it a little bit.
I love how you worded that. That I think was perfect.
Okay.
Anybody else got anything?
Oh, and what were the statistics of the like 4 to 10 and how many you achieve and the
So if you
1
set
to 2?
if you set 2 to 3 goals, on average, you tend to achieve 2 to 3 goals. If you set 4 to 10, you tend to achieve 1 to 2. And if you set 11 to 20, you tend to achieve 0. And that 0 was the one that was like, oh, ouch. Yeah.
Okay, anybody got anything else? All right, well, let's take a picture. I'm going to have to do 2 screens, so y'all are going to have to keep smiling here for me. If you want to be in the picture, unmute yourself. Okay, and get ready to say cheese. Say cheese on 3. All right, now hold on, I got to do another screen. All right, cheese again. 1, 2, 3. All right. Yeah, because you guys don't know what screen you're on. All right, last minute questions for Nikki. Anybody? Okay. Well, Nikki, thank you so much. You have been inspiring.
Of course. Y'all have a good night.
Yeah, we will see you in Vegas, girl.
Yeah, I'm excited.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.